Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to look at how to replace the HDMI port on a PS5. A customer brought this to us because the screen wasn't displaying. The most common complaints for this are usually the HDMI port. The second most common is the IC, so let's try replacing the HDMI port first. For this we will need a soldering iron and a hot air blower. The materials I am using here are Mechanic brand solder wire and paste. I have also mentioned that. We also need 2 soldering tips. I set the soldering iron's heat to 350. So, as a first step, let's apply flux to the area around the HDMI port. Next, we need to apply some solder to the 4 legs of the port using the soldering iron. Now let's see how to separate the HDMI port using the hot air blower and soldering iron. Doing it this way will allow us to separate it quickly. So we were able to separate it quickly. I am using regular thinner for this cleaning. When we work, we must thoroughly clean the PCB and the parts. This makes our work more perfect. The new HDMI port we have is of good quality. Now look at the difference between our old port and this one. So we have now thoroughly applied flux and solder paste to each of its legs. We have also set the legs using the solder. We need to ensure that each leg is perfectly connected. Okay, so we're done with all 4 legs. Now we need to solder each pin of the HDMI port. I'll apply some flux and neatly clean it up again. Now look, it's clean and perfectly set. Next, we need to set each pin on the board using some solder. Now, we need a sewing needle. Why? Because sometimes the HDMI port gets stuck when we are soldering. This can cause the HDMI port to come loose, so we do this to make it a little easier. Now let's apply enough flux to the HDMI port and the board. Then, we'll heat it thoroughly with the hot air blower. Now we're going to the fixing stage. Now let's place the hot air blower underneath the board and heat it well. Let's adjust the HDMI port to the correct position. See, it's perfectly set. Now let's check and set each pin again with solder, as there might be a few pins that haven't connected. So, about 90% of our work is done. Now let's connect the HDMI and check it on the TV. Okay, thank God it's working. Thank you for watching my video.